Yes. So welcome everyone to another episode of the Hempy Talks. It is my really utmost privilege to have Eric Hurlock here from Lancaster Farming because he has a lot to share and I'm so excited to ask him the questions because this time it's not Eric asking the question as in Lancaster Farming, the podcast, but I'm going to ask the questions and I'm super curious to hear the answers. So let's dive in and welcome to the Hempy Talks, Eric.
Hello, Beatrix. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
The first question I like asking people is the connection. How did industrial hemp enter your life? How did it enter the life of Lancaster farming? That would be very interesting to hear about.
Yeah, it was the summer of 2018, and here in Pennsylvania, there was a handful of permit holders who had a research permit to grow hemp in the state, and I think 2018 was the second year of that program. And I was working here at Lancaster Farming. We're an agricultural newspaper based in southeastern Pennsylvania. We cover, farming, big farming, little farming. We're based in Pennsylvania. We have a lot of Amish and Mennonite readers. We're a weekly newspaper, big fat newspaper that comes out every Saturday morning. So we're a farming newspaper. We're sort of like the connective tissue of the farming community here in the northeastern portion of the United States. I was the digital editor. I was running the websites, and I'm a creative. I make stuff. I'm always thinking about, stories and connecting people. And there was talk, in 2018, that summer, that the Farm Bill was coming. The 2018 Farm Bill was going to legalize industrial hemp as a commodity crop for the first time, since 1938 or 1937. So there was a lot of excitement, and for me, it seemed like an opportunity because I had gone out to the Rodale Institute the year before that, and they were one of the permit holders in 2017. The Rodale Institute it's a sort of a famous agricultural research center here in Pennsylvania where they've been conducting side-by-side trials of organic agriculture and conventional agriculture for, since the 1980s. Anyway, I was out there on an assignment in 2017 and I saw my first field of hemp. It was 4 acres of, I guess, like a fiber variety. And the light bulb went off. It's like, oh, it's happening now because I had read The Emperor Wears No Clothes, years ago as a college student. It appeared in my life, and those seeds were planted in me. Like, oh, we could retool our economy. We could, make everything out of plants. We could make houses. We could make, and standing at that field at the Rodale Institute in 2017, the light bulb went off, and it was like, "Oh, this is it. We're doing it. It's time. We're changing the world now. We're gonna do it." I was so proud, and just it was exciting, right? So over the course of that year, fast forward to 2018, and I'm looking around sort of at the media landscape, and there's not a lot of information for farmers about planting, harvesting, growing the crop at all. So I thought, well, there it is. There's the opportunity. I can just go talk to people now. And I did. I started talking to, farmer at Rodale, the guy who planted that hemp the year before. I ran into Jeff Whaling. He's the chair of the National Hemp Association. I talked to farmers at Penn State. I just started talking to people, right, and recording the conversations. And at the time, Lancaster Farming was kind of looking for new opportunities for content. And we kicked around the idea of like farmer radio. And I raised my hand at a meeting. I'm like, how about a podcast, right? And this is 2018, and maybe Lancaster Farming is a little conservative, maybe a little behind the times a bit. And I had to explain what a podcast was to some people in the room, but I was given the green light to sort of make an episode. And at the time, I thought I would start with hemp, make a few episodes about hemp, and then move on to, dairy farming or beef or, some other farming topic. But here we are 7 years later, and the hemp industry it's exciting. It has changed my life, like covering this, and it's the people in the industry that have, been so inspiring to me, and I love that I'm a part of it. So I'm going to stop talking there and let you ask another question if that one if that's a sufficient answer.
Absolutely. And you are just reading my mind and leading into the next question with your answer, that you started by thinking that you're just going to record a few episodes and then move on, but you kept on and you're still interviewing, and you interviewed so many hemp business owners. So what kept you there? What did you find inspiring? What are the lessons learned? What did you learn about the industry? What are your insights? Lots of questions to
Lots
ask
of
here.
questions, right? Yeah, yeah. So, as a a storyteller, I it's like you never get the opportunity to see an industry sort of grow up out of nothing, right? I mean, we sort of saw that in the 90s with the tech boom and the internet and all that. But this to me was more, well, more organic. I mean, it was more, it's agricultural based, and that's where my heart is. My heart is in agriculture. I just think farmers, they play such an important role in our lives, and I think we can, it's time to ask them to do even more, right? So I let me slow down a second. All right. I learned a lot of things from it, and I have a lot to say, so I have to pace myself a bit. Um, One of the things I learned by covering hemp is a lot about myself. Like, one, I didn't realize I enjoyed talking to people as much as I do. And so this has been sort of a great learning experience for me to connect with people and to sort of build community, or to help build community. And through talking to people, I realized that I'm an optimist, right? Like, I used to be a pessimist. It wasn't working out for me. So I've switched to optimism, and not just like blind optimism, but like, I want to call it determinate optimism, where I am optimistic about a specific thing, and that is, our ability as humans, as the culture, to retool everything so we're not in jeopardy. We're not like risking things to climate change, and yeah, for me, it's about the environment. It's about economic health. It's like all of these things that hemp can do for the world are exciting to me. So I've met these people who are out there building this future that I am optimistic about. Like, I am determinately optimistic about uh, agriculture playing a huge role in our future, right? For our housing needs, our food, obviously, and our clothing, and to move from that extractive model that we're in now, which clearly is not working out for the majority of life on the planet. We want to move to the regenerative model, right? And we can do it, right? And if we're not, bold enough in our imaginations, then I don't know. Do we deserve that future? Then I don't know. So I'm an optimist. I'm sort of I'm a dreamer, and I don't know. This is how I am trying to contribute to sort of like, um, yeah, I'm an idealist, I guess. I don't know. This is, I sort of talk myself into ellipses, and then I stop talking. So how's that for an answer? This is why I like to ask the questions and not answer them. But anyway.
Yeah, yeah, doing a great job, and thank you for sharing that, because it really shows how enthusiastic you are, how passionate you are about this topic, and also how determined you are to have the industry also by doing the work that you are doing, raising awareness and sharing the stories and inspiring others as well. What are some of the lessons you learned? Or some of the insights you had from these conversations with the people?
Sort of scrolling through the long list of people I've talked to. Um, yeah, I mean, I really, the biggest takeaway for me is how the people in this industry, I don't know, have like reinvigorated my faith in humanity in a way. I don't know if that's too big or grand of a statement, but yeah, like, getting back to the optimism and the people who are out there who are, have dedicated their lives to building the industry, and it's not like they're out there making money. Like, the industry is so small at this point, but they have such, big dreams, and it's well within our grasp. We just there, there's some sort of things that we need right now, and that's investment in the infrastructure, right? And education. And yeah, for me, there's just so much confusion around the word hemp itself. And if you've listened to my show lately, I'm kind of waging this quiet war about language. And I don't know. I don't know what kind of insights. Uh, yeah, I might not be the right person for your show because I like to get the insights from the other people. Um, but yeah, it's for me, it's about the people and their dreams and the future and the passion and yeah, with
It's something similar I experienced too since I started interviewing the Hempy people, and I only choose people who are working with industrial hemp on purpose. I I'm not interviewing anyone with CBD or cannabis, just to really avoid causing more confusion to the equation, because that seems to be one of the many confusions around industrial hemp. And I'm experiencing the same what you are experiencing, that um, those who come on the show and talk about their story, they're just so inspirational. They're so full of optimism. And it really shows that most of them, I wouldn't say each one of them, but most of them are truly just doing it for the impact, for seeing the difference it can make. And that just blows my mind away, you know? So if I were you, probably I would give a very similar answer, because it's just mind blowing to see this happening in an emerging industry that is just still too small.
yeah, right. And I think what that gets at is long-term thinking, right? And we've been sort of the victims of, I don't say victim, but we're sort of at the mercy of short-term thinking, right? Short-term profits for the shareholders, quarterly profits, and everything is so short, and we need a long-term vision. And the people who are building the hemp industry, they have to have that long-term vision because there's no other way forward, right? And so that is very inspiring to me. Because we have to take the long view of things. We have to slow down and we have to, figure out what's actually valuable, right? Because it's not money. It can't be money, right? But that's what people are chasing. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm a dreamer.
Yes, and there are many people like you, including me. So you are definitely not alone in this. And the hemp industry is something not just to dream about, but to make things happen. So the beauty for me comes from the dreamers who are also the doers, who roll up their sleeves and they start doing it. And I I did I did notice, that you also went for many of the farm visits and to see the actual businesses as well. Were there any particular um, stories there that you want to share? Something that really was memorable for
Um,
some reason or another?
yeah, I mean, lots of different stories come to mind. I'll share that in 2021, we went on like a national hemp tour and we drove across the United States from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific and then back. And we made about, I don't know, 15 stops along the way. Hemp businesses, manufacturers, processors, farms. And, we met Greg Wilson from Hempwood, just drove up to the factory. He was like, come on in. It was, and everywhere we went, we were met with such just like openness and warmth. And I was traveling with my wife and my two daughters who were 12 and 10 at the time. And yeah, everywhere we went, we were essentially just like welcomed in by complete strangers. And it was such a great example of kindness. And yeah, it was incredible. I know you're asking like for insight about the hemp industry, but maybe that I think is that the people who are in this industry are, yeah, they're good people. So
Eric,
yeah, that road trip was 6 weeks long. We were on the road for 40 days and 40 nights, and it was a lot. But it was great. It changed my life considerably, and it sort of set the stage for a lot of things that have happened since then, including something that's coming up this summer in Raleigh, North Carolina, here on the East Coast of the U.S. It's the It's the NIHC Global Industrial Hemp Fiber Summit. It's a 3-day event at NC State, North Carolina State University, hosted by the National Industrial Hemp Council. And that sort of grew out of that hemp tour because when we drove out west, we ended up in Montana, and the folks at I&D Hemp were like, "Oh, Eric's coming. Let's throw him a party, or something." So they put together what turned out to be the first Montana Hemp Summit. And then it happened again the year after that, and then the year after that. And then in 2024, they held it in October. And then this year, it's kind of becoming a movable feast, and they're having the summit in Raleigh, North Carolina. So that's something.
Yes, it also tells me that maybe you're writing history. Wherever you show up, they create a summit. So maybe hemp history has something to do with you as well.
I feel like Forrest Gump in that whole scenario, but yeah, I've just sort of wandered into this, right? It's all
Fabulous.
accidental, or I don't know. I've heard some stories and met some people. Yeah, it just sort of changed my whole approach to the world, to you know, spirituality, the physical world, the intellectual world. Like, yeah, my life has been changed just 100% by the work that I'm doing. And I just have to thank Lancaster Farming newspaper for that, because I wouldn't be doing any of this without Lancaster Farming newspaper. And to me, it's amazing that they see the vision that I see, because we cover farming, and industrial hemp is the crop of the future, right? And it's going to be in the rotation with the corn and the soy. It's coming. And so I'm impressed with the newspaper's sort of vision of the future, that long-term thinking that, I just mentioned. It's happening here because we know that, we as a resource, we have this sort of responsibility to educate and inform our readers. And it's been so great to have the support of the newspaper in order to do this work. And yes, we do have some sponsors too who help us a lot. But yeah, it's so good, and I can't imagine. Yeah, I feel like the luckiest man in the world sometimes for getting to do this. So,
Wonderful. And Lancaster Farming is doing a great job, I can tell. And that brings me to ask you the last question really is what's next for Lancaster Farming? What does that long-term vision hold?
for the newspaper or for the podcast, or what do you mean?
For industrial hemp within Lancaster Farming.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we plan to cover the industry as it develops and to help support, educational efforts and growth of the industry as much as we can. Uh, because we have the ear of the farmer essentially, and that's been sort of part of my MO with this. My was to it's because I know that like the marijuana stigma is real, and then the CBD stigma is an additional thing that in like the regular crop farmers around here, they're like, oh, hemp. Oh, okay, great. It's marijuana, it's weed, oh, it's CBD. My brother, he lost $1,000, whatever. All of these sort of, not great connotations with hemp. And my sort of goal or sort of plan is to keep industrial hemp as a positive story in the newspaper, to sort of get farmers just used to the idea that there is this really useful crop that is just going to be part of their lives in another 10 years, another 20 years, whatever. Like it's coming. And so, yeah, to be here at Lancaster Farming, it just seems like ordained somehow, like there's some kind of providence at work here. And I am so grateful for the opportunity.
Thank you for being conscientious, when really translating the message of industrial hemp in a language that is attractive. And to many, it can bring a new perspective to industrial hemp, because the history really holds many ups and downs and many challenges and many of those things that we cannot avoid anymore, but just by being aware of them, we know how to communicate it differently and how to share the story differently. So I would like to encourage everyone who is listening to this episode to check out Lancaster Farming And do get in touch with Eric as well if you want to whisper something in that ear of the farmers. And join in for another episode where I will bring a very interesting story of a hemp lawyer in Brazil, from Brazil, in the next episode. So stay tuned, and thank you for listening to the Hempy Talks. Thank you for being here, Eric.
Thank you.